Games are definitely more fun when you're better at them, so it's no surprise that the number one question I get is, how do I get faster? The answer is usually too long to type in a DM, so I thought I'd put this tip video together to help you improve no matter which racing game you're playing. Let's go! Let me start by saying easy is not the same thing as fast. If you're looking for the magic switch that makes you faster, like change this setting or set up your car like this and you're never gonna lose, this video is not for you. But if you're actually interested in getting better, the tips I have will 100% help you improve. I consider these easy because they don't take money, talent, or skill, or anything like that, just effort. Also, these tips might seem a little bit generic because it's a video that's meant to help with all racing games, but these are the most commonly overlooked things, and you might just go, oh yeah, I knew that, and then you might start doing that. Plus, I have a bonus tip at the end for people who stay to watch through the entire video. Alright, let's get into it. Number 1, learn the game's meta. Obviously, learning which cars are faster is going to help you, and you should definitely do that. But a game's meta goes beyond just knowing what the fastest car is in general. Most of the time, each track has its own meta. The best example of this that I can think of is in Need for Speed Heat. The RSR dominates basically all cars in 95% of the races. It's widely known as the fastest car in the game, and in most scenarios, the next fastest car is not even close. However, the world records, well, there's really no official world records, but what we know to be the world records show that 28 out of the 137 races, the Beetle is actually faster. This indicates that on those tracks specifically, the RSR is vulnerable to a car like the Beetle, who has insane low-end acceleration and cornering. So what that tells us is that those tracks have a different meta than the remaining tracks in the game. Now, in addition to that, meta can actually shift as well. Need for Speed Heat isn't receiving any updates, but games like The Crew 2 have gotten tons of updates over the years, and the meta has shifted with each change to the handling model and or the addition of new cars. So games like this require you to pay attention to the updates and maybe join a Discord server or two in order to keep up with what is happening with the meta. Racing game communities are often very willing to share what cars are best for which tracks. You really just need to be asking. Number 2, learn the racetracks. If you really want to be faster, learning the basics of the track is 100% necessary, and if you're not making that simple effort, then you really don't care to improve, because that alone is not enough. And when I say learning the basics, I mean memorizing the general layout of the track so you know what's coming next. 99% of players can easily learn whether the next turn is a left or a right by simply racing on that course a few times. If you want faster times, however, it requires an extra level of detail that most players are not willing to learn. If you learn those details about each of these tracks, you can easily reduce your times and beat the majority of players. Let me give you an example. There are lots of details to learn, but let's just take a look at NOS points in Need for Speed Heat. Simply using NOS at the correct times during a race will greatly improve your times. On the left, I was using NOS at sort of random times or after turns heading into longer straights. This is a fairly common way to use NOS. On the right, I'm maximizing my NOS benefit by using it at the optimal times to keep better speed throughout the course. The difference in time on this first lap alone is nearly a full second, which means for the entire race, it could mean up to 3 seconds. It's pretty incredible how much of a difference one little thing like using NOS at the optimal time can make. Keep in mind, there are many more fine details like this hidden in each game. The question is, how do you figure it out? How do you know what the best NOS points are for a given race? And the answer is my last tip. At number 3, imitate the best drivers. Simply put, they are the best for a reason, and that reason being is that they take the time to study the game on the deepest level possible to squeeze every last hundredth of a second out of a particular race. They sometimes will make hundreds of attempts on a course in order to learn which lines or shortcuts are the fastest. They find the fastest way, and lots of them post their fastest runs on YouTube, which is just like handing you a free guide on how to race that course. Some drivers actually put their controller inputs on the screen as well, so you can see exactly what they are doing, which is super helpful. A fairly solid way to find these videos is to type into the YouTube search bar the name of the track and the name of the game. Usually you can find people's fastest times that way. Then when you notice the same name popping up a lot, just sub to that channel for easy reference later. Again, this is free advice from the best people who do it. Take advantage of that. Alright, time for a bonus tip. This one is a bit more difficult to pull off if you aren't used to doing it or if you don't have the capable gear, which is why it's a bonus tip and not one of my main tips. If you have the ability to record your races, do it. Watching back what happened in each section of the course and being able to compare that with one of the fastest runs on YouTube will tell you exactly where you're losing time, slowing down, or taking the incorrect line. Sometimes in the heat of the race, you don't necessarily have time to process what just happened because you're focused on what's coming up. Recording races is the #1 thing I do currently to get myself better at whatever game I'm trying to get better at. Alright, lastly, I stream every single week on Kick and YouTube, so if you're interested and you need advice or you just want to hang out and talk about racing games, jump into one of my streams. Turn on notifications so you don't miss them. Alright, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.